Yeah, just thought I'd have a quick moan tonight, really. Nothing special. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's had a good week. It's been a funny one for me, really. I just thought I'd take 3 days off, 4 days off, in fact, and just recuperate, try and get some energy back. Hello, Lindsay. I'm just really here to have a short moan tonight, talk about some of the psychoanalytical perspectives of projection, but very briefly. And it's all based around Facebook, really. So just a gripe, and it's to say that as I've come on Facebook recently, I just noticed that people just want to keep on jumping on other people. Now, they jump on me. This is about me in the main. As I said, I always talk about me and my experiences, and I know that others can relate to them. And I'm not having too much of a complaint about the fact that it happens to me, because that's going to happen. I put myself out in public, and I've been doing that for the longest part of my life. So I expect that people are going to jump on me for whatever reason. I could be giving £1,000 away a day just to homeless people, and someone's going to jump on me and just say that I'm virtue signalling or that I'm doing something bad. It just seems that you can't do well. And people blame Facebook. People are saying, oh, it's Facebook. Facebook's rubbish. Facebook's shit. But it's not Facebook. It's people. Facebook's insidious in what it does. Facebook's always trying to sell our data, trying to infer who we are through our data and so on, and selling that on in order for us to consume more. Some of you may notice Facebook's just adverts now. Before it was your friends and their food, come back pictures of food. And now you turn it on and there's just adverts and adverts and adverts, and they're all targeted at you. For me, I'm getting lots of adverts for do you suffer from back pain, knee support, singles, 50-year-olds in your area and so on. But luckily for me, my profile's pretty made up, so I get stuff from Poland and stuff for, sunbeds and stuff like that. And I think I'm a 50-year-old white Polish guy in the main anyway. But back to the point in hand. Now, not all of you are going to be experiencing this, because some of you lock down your accounts, which is good. And I didn't know how much you could actually lock down your accounts. And I met some people last week, and we tried to add each other, and it was difficult at best, purely because their account is really well locked down. Now, mine's quite open. And because of this, it attracts all kinds of people. And the funniest people for me, I've got to say, are the new people. I post something they like. I'm like, wow, this guy's great. Boom. And they add me as a friend. And then 2 weeks later, they're beating me up because I said something that didn't agree with them. And that's just human nature. So I can live with that. Hello, Phil. So, just moving on, I'll talk about the psychology of stuff. This is my area. As I said, when I start talking highbrow, people say I think I'm an intellectual and so on. Once again, I can live with that. But this explains what I'm about to talk about. And talking about a projection, let me just start with that. So projection, that's a classic psychoanalytical theory, and the unconscious reaction to the ego that it uses to protect itself from anxiety, which arises from psychic conflict. And projection is a process whereby one subject believes that they see attributes which are both good or bad in another person. And the theory views that this tendency as a defense mechanism is used whenever unenviable or unpleasant traits, impulses or ideas are attributed to another person. And in this way, the protector is able to avoid the unpleasantness in themselves. However, the theory goes on to explain that in severe cases of projection, the condition of projection may degenerate into paranoid delusions to the point that the protector or the person who's projecting believes other people are responsible for their problems and are secretly plotting against them. But that's on this really deeper level. And the projection basically allows a subject to ignore faults within themselves. So if I can expound on that, what I mean is people see the negative and sometimes the positive of themselves in other people, and then they project that. But all too often on Facebook, it's negative. Now, if I talk about things like, let me talk about a subject that people are really, really sensitive to, mostly because I've got my mainly white friends on Facebook, I guess. But if I mention racism, I can post pictures all day long of white people who have sailed around the world, who have discovered medicines, who have saved children, rescued children. But then when I post a picture of a black person and say, oh, this black woman, oh, why'd you mention colour? What's race got to do with it? And so on. And it's almost like I can't say the word black sometimes. And that's a projection on people. They don't like to hear it. And I think because it brings onto them a negative reference, or they believe it's a negative reference, when in fact all it does is just reminds them of the terrible past. And that's not everybody, you are the good people. But people also exhibit what they call a aversion reaction. And this is a reaction or response which is expressed by the avoidance or distress that is evoked by a distasteful, threatening, or otherwise objectionable stimulus. However, objectionable has taken on a whole new meaning recently. And by this I mean that people are offended by almost anything. And I reckon this is down to the growth in the immature emotional responses, which are increased over the years. And people have forgotten how to debate, and they just simply try to shut each other down. So if I do say something, for instance, a couple of days ago I called someone an angry white man, and for me that's a certain demographic. It's like crazy black boys, or angry women, angry. Not angry. This is on the other side of the coin. When you say the Americans are bombing brown people to death, we use the colour. We describe people with colour sometimes. It does have its place. It's not like you're banned or you're not allowed to say it. People say things like, "Oh, you can't call people black people anymore," and it's like, educate yourself. There's a term and it's used, but it doesn't need to be used always. And the case in point that I use is, like, I talk to some people and they say to me, I was at a party last night and I was talking to this Canadian guy, and I was talking to this French guy, and I was talking to this Spanish woman, and I was talking to this black man. And it's like, why would you use colour in that instance? You've used everyone else's country, but now the black guy, you're supposed to know, oh yeah, the black guy. And it's like, no, don't use it there. At least say which country he was from. But maybe you didn't even bother to try to find out. You just assume it's a black guy, so you talk to him as a black guy. But you talk to the French person as a French person, and the Russian as a Russian, and the Spanish as a Spanish, and so on. So sometimes you needn't say colour. It's offensive. But to break down like a big crybaby and have this strong emotional response when other people, black people or people of colour use colour, stop it. And Facebook's just rife with this. Anyway, this isn't about just colour alone. This is about the way people are behaving on Facebook and the way people are treating each other. And there's also that reinforcement learning, which is activated by people seeing the same old stories on Facebook. And by reinforcement, I mean the act of strengthening a conditioned response. And that's a process of increasing the likelihood of a desired response by creating a dependent relationship with the reinforcer. And in this case, the reinforcer happens to be the stimuli that's presented to people. So you have a certain emotional reaction to things that you don't like, and as soon as somebody else starts talking about that subject, boom, then you're angry immediately and you want to shut that person down just to feel better about yourself. But you won't enter into debate and you won't talk about that particular subject or get to learn about what that person has to say. Because at the end of the day, everything I say isn't gospel. I'm just a man talking. And part of me wants to get some message across. And I think if you look at the subtext, it's often about being good to each other, treating each other well, and loving each other. But sometimes I just want to speak my thoughts because it's what I know. I say, like, oh yeah, I think that, big people shouldn't eat so much. I don't hate big people. I've just expressed an idea. And if someone said to me, that could be taken as offensive, I've learned something. If someone says, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't refer to them as that, or have you considered why they eat so much, then I'm learning. And we've entered debate and we learn from each other. I modify my behaviour. But if you just come on and say, oh, that's disgusting, you're gross, you hate big people and so on, what have we learned? We've learned nothing. And that's what Facebook's like these days. Every single thing that you want to talk about, people come on and they try to live the perfect life through other people. All they say is, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. And they want to fight you and fight you and fight you. Facebook's really fast becoming a shittier pit than it already is. It is a shit pit. I mean, I like Facebook because to me it's a battlefield and I like a struggle, I like a war. When I come on Facebook, I'm like, bang, I've been on there 5 minutes and I've learned a lot about myself. One, how I react in certain situations, how I behave, what I'm allowed to say and not in a public forum and so on. But at the same time, it's like, wow, there's a hell of a lot of people out there who are not trying, and all they're doing is trying to present what they hold as the truth and trying to instill that in other people, telling people you can't say this, you mustn't do this, you have to behave in a particular way. And it's like, no. Once again, that's projection, what I talked about earlier. You have to learn to control yourself, and you have to learn to be a better person if you're going to try and ask, or not even ask, tell other people to be better people. Because otherwise, all you're trying to do is get other people to live the good life that you would like to lead, but you're not living that life. So Facebook isn't the problem. Facebook is people. The people are the problem. And it is a problem. And I'm not going to hide from that ever. I still go on there daily and I still post and I still do what I do. But every now and then, the challenges that I'm faced with, I may as well be in a school playground with boys just fighting each other. You know, you walk in and say, "Hi, I'm Cedric." Someone says, "That's a silly name." Smash. That's what Facebook's like. You know, and it's not like that for everyone, I understand. But a lot of people are also being quiet. People aren't speaking their minds anymore. It's almost like we've been shut down. And I can see that in people. I know they want to say something because they're leading up to it, maybe in their comment. Boom, someone shuts them down and then they're quiet. And I want you to think hard about this for a moment because this applies to a hell of a lot of people. So if you think I'm talking about you, it's because I am. Think hard about this. Don't just jump back and say, well, not me. We're adults, a lot of us on Facebook, okay? In the sense of there's a lot of us on there, you know, the majority, I believe, nowadays is like 30-year-olds and plus. All the young ones have gone over to Instagram, where they don't even have to talk anymore. They don't even communicate. You just put a picture of you up looking good, eating some good food, drinking wine, and that's it. No talking, no communication, no trying to change the world, just pretending that everything's pretty, that everything's good. But for us who stay here, who's still vocal, especially us boomers, God bless, right? Because people over 40 are great, that's a fact, okay? A lot of us aren't talking anymore. We're not communicating. And I think that's a little embarrassing sometimes, that our lives consist of scrolling through stuff, clicking on things what we like, sharing with each other, oh, I like this, I like that, posting memes or posting words that other people have written. You know, it is better to have love than have lost. Oh, I'll share that. And we're just sharing and sharing. Now, that was a positive example. No fault with that. But that's all we're doing. We're not talking. We're not having these discussions anymore. It's just like dropping the personal pronoun, which is the most annoying thing in the world. It's not even, oh, hi, everybody. This morning I went to look at, buying a new sofa. Just went to look at a new sofa. Like, what the fuck's that supposed to mean? When you drop the personal pronoun, you know how that's said. Yeah, went shopping with my mates. Yeah, down at the pool. And it's like, how are we communicating? And it's often about stuff that we've consumed a hell of a lot of the time. So all we're doing is posting what we've consumed, what we like, and what people shouldn't be allowed to say. And to me, that's not conducive to any kind of society. And people may argue that, okay, well, it's not actually society, it's just Facebook, but it's more than Facebook, and you know that. Otherwise, you wouldn't spend your days, nights, evenings, and the last thing you do before you go to bed and the first thing in the morning, using Facebook. Facebook has a power, and we have a power. I'm a technologist. And I thought when the internet came along, it would change the world. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Now I'm so against it in many ways because of its misuse. That everyone's come on board, and what we do in it is consume, tell people how great we are, and just tell people what we like. And that's it. What kind of society are we living in? We really have to start communicating. We have to start talking. And if we are going to disagree, we have to learn to debate. Rhetoric, that's the key. And communicate. Tell people the things that we don't like. Tell them the things that we do like. Tell them the things we don't necessarily like about them, but nicely, so that they can respond. And then we meet in the middle. Otherwise, we're just like children in the school playground again, and we're fighting over every single thing that doesn't matter. It's time for change. I'm the OBG. Phew. Just thought I'd have a little gripe today. Get that one out of the way. Right, got that one out of the way. And once again, for anyone who's listening, if it applies to you and you feel a little twinge of, oh, I'm not trying to be mean. All I'm trying to say is that we've got an invention here. We've got a means of communication. We've got a means of communicating each other and finding out what's wrong, not only in our world, but in the world as a whole, and discussing it and then moving towards change. But we've all been suckered into buying into consumerism and buying into separation. I think the rubbish men are outside. There's a background noise really loud. But in doing so, we're losing sight of each other, and we're losing sight of, I wouldn't say the path, because there's many paths to take, but in order for us to grow, Because at the end of the day, all we're doing is we're getting those little hits. Yeah, I feel good. Everyone's seen my new sofa. Boom, everyone's seen me in my new shoes. Everyone's seen my new dress, my new trousers. Boom, everyone knows that I like Chardonnay, and and then we're happy with that people like what we like. People like what we've consumed. And it's like, think about it. That's no way to live. Unfortunately, we're living that way. Anyway, gripe over. That's all for today. I am the OBG. Look out for Sunday's show. It's going to be a stonker. It's going to be a proper show. And I'll be presenting more of that stuff in the future as well. Thank you very much. OBG.